So that's the slope that you learned in pre-cal in algebra 2, in algebra 1. The slope is a straight line, nothing changed. But in calculus, you're going to run into a function. It's not just going to be a straight line. You will see it is like a curve. It's going to change. So the slope, if we look at this one, if, for example, if I have this function, right? Think about this. The slope is not going to be the same for this function. It's going to be different. If you think about from here to here, the slope is going to be from here to here. The slope is going up, so it's going to be positive. But from here to here, the slope is going down, so I know the slope is going to be negative. Same thing over here. This increasing, so my slope is going to be positive. And somewhere over here at this, the vertex, the slope at that point right here is going to be 0 because that is the peak, right? So the slope is changing. So the function, when you took the derivative, is give you a tool to figure out what happened, what is the slope at a given point. And that's the one that we're going to focus for now for the next example, okay? So step number 1 is say use the derivative to find the slope. So that's mean the first steps, what you're going to do is that you're going to figure out what is the slope when x is 2, when x is 3, when x is 4, whatever the point they gave you. So step number 1, I'm going to take the derivative of this function. So step 1. If you need help with taking the derivative of a polynomial, office hours, let me know, okay? So this is going to be 2x. And then the second one, if you took the derivative, this is a linear function, so this is going to be negative 2. So that is the first steps. I'm taking the derivative. Then step 2, they want you to find the slope at a point. In here, they gave you x and y. They give you that order pair. So here's the new part. It's going to be f prime of, this is the x values. I have 2 numbers right here. Can someone tell me, if you have to guess, what values should I use for the x? It's a f prime of, this is the x. So what values I'm going to use to figure out the slope? 2, yes, right? Because this one is the x value, so I'm going to use the x values. Even though they gave me the y values, don't care. It's not for me. I don't need it now. So it's going to be 2. What you're going to do is you're just going to plug in the 2 into the function. So it's going to be 2 times 2 minus 2. This is going to be 4 minus 2. So the slope is 2. So that is the slope. Okay. So it's basically what we've been doing. The only extra step that we're going to take for this example is plug it in the x values to figure out at 2 what is the slope. Okay, so the derivative is a general function for you to find the slope. Same thing, if I'm asking you to find the slope at 0, then I'm just going to plug in the 0. Right, so 2 times 0 minus 2, so this is going to be negative 2. So that is the slope. When x is 0, the slope is negative 2. So as you notice, this is a quadratic function. The slope is not going to be the same. If you think about the original function, the second power is quadratic. It looks like something like this, right? So the slope going to change, depend on what values that we're looking at. So this is a new part that we're going to learn today. Questions for me so far? Why didn't I do the 2 minus 1? I did that mentally, so I know 2 minus 1 give me 1, so I did not write that out. I skipped that because I kind of do it in my head. But if you want to, you totally can write up here, you can do 2 minus 2. Yeah. You don't have to. If you can do it quickly in your head, then you don't have to. But if that's something that needed for you, then write that out. Okay. Cool. All right, let's look at another problem. Let's do another one. Okay, find the derivative at a given point. So notice this is going to be x, this one going to be y, right? Let's review a little bit. What do I do for this function before I can take the derivative? Because this one I cannot just take the derivative right away. What should I do first? Yes, so I'm going to bring it up. Because this one is on the denominator, so I bring it up to -2. Thank you. So now I can take the derivative at prime, right? So notice this is the power. So I'm going to bring that down. -2 times 8. -2 minus 1. Do you have to write that out? No, but if you're going to make a mistake and you know you've been making a mistake, then write that out. It shouldn't take too long. So -16, x to the -3. If I'm going to rewrite, it's going to be -16 over x to the third power. Okay. The last step, I want to find the slope. So f prime of 2. So basically you plug in the 2 to the third. So -16 over 8, which give me -2. So this is the slope. Questions for me? Yes, in this case, the y is there. We don't use it at all. We will later on when we talk about, we're going to write the tangent line, and that will be the next lesson. So right now, the y, I'm not using it at all. All right, let's review another type of derivative. Same thing, we have x and y. There is the point that they want you to find the slope, right? Okay, so f of x, this is the square root, is the same thing, x to the 1/2, right? So let's take the derivative, bring down the half, 1/2 minus 1, 1/2 is -1/2, right? So I'm going to bring that down. So 1 over 2 square root of x. Because the negative, I'm going to bring down to the denominator, turn into positive 1/2. The positive 1/2 is the same thing as square root of x. Now we're going to find the slope. So f prime of 4, 2 times square root of 4, 2 times 2, so this is 1 over 4, so that is the slope. So the extra steps that you have to do in this case is plug in the x values to find the slope. But you still take the derivative like you've been taking the derivative. So just the extra steps that you have to take. Question for this problem. Also, for those of you miss any assignments, make sure that you take the time to do it, because a lot of you get 0 for this quarter just because you have not done any assignment. Okay. Okay, cool. If you did it, if you put in the chat, I'm going to jot down your names and then I'll fix your grade. I'll go back and fix it today or tomorrow. Okay. If you miss summative, talk to me as well. Make sure that you know what, just check in Power School and see some assignments. You can still do them today. Yes, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it today. Email me once you've done because they don't notify me, so it's really hard for me to know if you go back and do it or not. So once you've done, just send me an email. Okay. If you need to make up any summatives and you cannot make it to Flip Remote and you have a different times, check in with me. Let's see if I'm available. Then I will see you, and then we can do that. Okay. All right, so let's look at this one. Again, this one is the x, this one is the y. We're going to take the derivative, but before we do that, I need to rewrite my 3 over 5 t at negative 1. So I need to rewrite my function. So f prime of t. The 3 is going to be 0, and this I'm bringing down negative 1 times 3 over 5. But be careful, this one is also negative 3 over 5. So I should have this negative right here. Negative 1 minus 1. Negative, negative turn into positive. So 3 over 5, not x, is t, not x. So that would be t, negative 2. I'm going to bring it down. So I think the problems that we are having with this one is not to plug it in. It just still take the derivative. Okay. So now I can find f primes of 3 over 5. Let's plug it in. 3. 5 times 3 over 5 square. And then we can simplify this. If you have a graphing calculator, put it in. I have no problem. 3 over 5. This one is 9 over 25. We can simplify. This would give you 5. I'm going to write it up here. So 3 over 9 over 5 is the same thing as you divide. So I'm going to multiply. So this is going to give you 15 over 9. So this one is a little bit harder because it's a fraction. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you fraction on your summative. But I kind of throw it in. If you run into a fraction, it's going to work out the same way. If you forgot what to do with fraction, maybe see me for help. But for now, the summative, I'm not going to give you the number in fraction, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's see who else just tell me they did the work. All right. CUDA words. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's do this one. I'm going to ask you to take the derivative and find the slope at this given point. So go ahead and go to product and start. So step number 1, you're going to take the derivative. And that's step number 2, you're going to plug it in to figure out what is the slope of that line, okay, at the given point. So go ahead and start.